back when everybody was landing in trees on every other flight, back when it was dangerous, that's when it was most popular. But, you know, that's where we get our reputation for being unsafe. Still, to this day, that's what people know. They know about what was going on at the end of the 70s. Those guys were nuts. They're flying hang gliders that they built out of bamboo and plastic and swing set seats. And they worked, but it would take such grit to fly such a thing. I just don't think I'd have the guts to do so. Now that we have really great hang gliders and really good training, a program that works, now we're down to 10,000 members in the club, period. It's been that way for 20 years since I've been in. We've never exceeded 10,000 members at any time since I've been in. And that's also split between two sports. That's hang gliding and paragliding, which they tell me now that the paragliders outnumber us. So that means that's it has to be less than 5,000 hang glider pilots in the United States. That's a terrible state of affairs when you think about Germany with approximately 180 million people as a population, and their hang gliding population, and this is hang gliders, 35,000 members.
Wow.
And they're in the country where you have to pay more for it than any place else. There's something gone wrong. We have lost our place.
Beauty. So this is the clubhouse of Quest Air. Very cool. Got a great view. Lots of neat stuff here. Pool table. And there's a lake back there and kind of screened in pool that way. And volleyball, windsock. And oops. Yeah.
Weight shift.
Weight shift.
Weight shift. So hands off, this hang glider has lots of stability because of the way it's designed. It has twisted wings, which means that it'll be stable. It'll also be slow. You just won't go fast because this creates drag. But nonetheless, we'll deal with it because that's what we do.
So you're saying the wingtips are
Yep.
have a lower angle attack,
You know,
or
this is a model, and it's not very accurate.
Okay.
It looks like that thing's a blade, like it's all the same, and it is in this model. But on a regular hang glider, you see the tips are up like this, and the nose is up like that. So
Okay.
that's how it balances itself.
Okay.
Right? So say, okay, hands off, 23. If we wanted to go faster, we would pull our weight forward and drop the nose and pick up speed. Speed's not dangerous, by the way. It serves lots of good safety purposes. It handles better, it covers more ground, goes through turbulence with less effect to it. So that's all good, but it's not very efficient. In fact, it'd be on the ground a lot quicker. So when you're flying, I won't ask you to go faster. But say you did, because I want you to understand this. Well, you're pulling your weight forward, you continue to do so, because when you stop pulling your weight forward, your weight goes back to where it came from, and the hang glider returns to 23 or 2 miles an hour, whatever that trim speed is.
so pulling forward lowers the nose,
Pulling your weight forward. You're
Pulling your weight
shifting
forward.
weight forward.
lowers
So
the front of the hang glider, and you go
it's the
faster.
backwards, the opposite of sailplanes. I've
Right.
taught sailplane guys, and what they'll end up doing is, well, they equate this with the stick, but it's the opposite of the stick in pitch.
Right.
So if you push forward on the stick on the sailplane, what happens? You go down.
Right.
You push forward on this thing,
You go up.
you don't actually go up, you slow down, because
Okay.
it can't actually go up because it has no engine, unless we're towing, of course.
Right.
So that really doesn't do much for us. And if you pull back, like you pull back on the stick on the sailplane, then you're going up. Well, we're going. Now this will make us go faster and go down faster.
Okay.
So that's just one of those things. At first, I had sailplane guys who got it mixed up. I had one guy who totally gave up after a couple of flights. He's like, I'm going to go back. I'm like, cool, no problem. They
So
did it
these-
after a while. It's
so-
just, you be in hang gliding. This is the thing about it. The hardest part is likely towing behind the airplane.
Right, right. Same with the sailplane.
A beginner to follow an airplane, fly in formation.
Yeah.
That's something we save in other aviation for experts, right? We're asking somebody to do that right off the bat. But this makes it a video game. It's a visual task. You got an airplane out there that you sit on the horizon, and you're just setting pitch most of the time. In fact, all the time while you're towing. You set the pitch, you look at the airplane, then that's what you do. Even little kids can learn it.
Okay.
And the left and right, to a lesser extent, it is there certainly, but it's mostly about setting pitch and looking at an airplane. That's towing for you. So I can take some really absolute beginners, never had any aviation experience, put them on a hang glider, in 14 or 15 tows, they usually can do it by themselves as far as the towing goes. The landings, and you're aware of this, it's about training your eyes to look at the picture a little different. We don't use our altimeter to figure out when it's time to do this, that, and the other thing, because it'll lie to us. It says 500, but it actually meant 4, or vice versa, or a half a dozen other million things, or it just didn't work at all. I'm looking at the ground. I'm like a bird. I'm just looking at it. I look at it from this angle. Hang gliders fly at glide angles, so this kind of works out in the end. We do the same kind of landing approach over and over and over, so I don't even have to think about it. Because it's such a simple sport, if you start thinking a lot, you stop doing. We just need to do something. We just fly downwind, crosswind, and plant. That's your landing approach on a hang glider. Now, I only talked about faster so far. Faster, pull your way forward. Relax your hands, slows back down, because it does 22, 23 miles an hour, hands off. That's what I was going to say. You ask, can you change that? You can, here on the ground. The suspension strap that we're dangling from, I said dangling from, you can move that forward or aft on this keel tube to make it go faster or slower, but you set that here on the ground.
Okay.
You know, that last flight, I didn't like the speed. I thought it flew hands off. I thought it was too fast. Well, just make an adjustment to slow that down for the next flight.
Okay.
Or vice versa. So that's what you do with that. But we like it a few miles an hour faster than our stall speed, so that you can just take your hands off and it flies gently and pleasantly.
Okay.
And we spend, to be efficient, we spend a lot of time flying as slow as we can within the realm of condition, because the slower you go, the more susceptible you would be to
finding
stalling
lift
a wing and things like that.
Okay.
So we might carry just, and when we say a little bit of extra speed, we're talking 1 or 2 miles an hour faster
Wow.
than stall speed.
Wow.
So we're as efficient as we can be. So we'll spend our time, like you guys, in thermals. Although you may have to use a few thermals because the sailplane sets a pretty wide circle. You can't get it too tight. Well, we can get well within that. We'll use the core of a thermal instead of a couple different ones around like sometimes sailplanes would have to. We're searching for the absolute strongest part of the thermal, and then we can tip it on a wingtip and put it in there and stay there. The higher the bank angle, the less efficient the hang glider. But there's going to be a balance point at some point there where I may have to bank a bit more than I thought was very efficient, but to stay in the core of the thermal, that might be the ticket. So there's a bunch of theory to how to get the most efficient climb out of each thermal, but they're all different. You know better than I do. You've probably been doing this stuff a long time. I've got 22 years on a hang glider. That's my aviation experience, period. I have half an hour of stick time on the airplane. I hated it. I thought I would love it, but I hated it.
Well, you might like sailplanes. Have you tried? You know, Claremont, Seminole's right over there.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's a lot of
I'm
fun.
a hang gliding instructor. That means two things. It means that, well, I have the best job ever, and it also means I have no money. So,
Okay.
but I'll stick with the happiest job ever.
Yeah, no, I've been up in a sailplane with thermaling with hang gliders. I launched from Seminole, and this was
every spring we see all this.
yeah.
Anyhow, back to this thing. So we talked about faster. Hands off, back to the 22, 23. Slower, well, we can go a little slower than that. It'll slow down like these. I'm thinking about 19 miles an hour. I'm looking at weight. A little lighter, we could go 18. A little heavier, we'd be doing 20. But I'm looking at our weight and thinking, maybe we could get it down to about 19 before we start having a stall. But since it's got a twisted wing, it stalls here first and still flying out there. So we can fly below stall speed, and it's still somewhat controllable. It's just that control becomes less and less responsive. It wanders. It doesn't want to turn when we want to. That's just too slow, that's all. So what do? This whole time you're going too slow, you're pushing out. Those tubes push it back against your hands, telling you. The hang glider's literally talking to you, saying, could you go a little faster? This is really very comfortable for either one of us. So all you have to do is relax your hands, the hang glider, those tubes will come back. Well, actually, your weight will settle back where it's supposed to be, back to our 23, where it handles nice. So when we're flying together, I won't ask you to go faster or slower, because there's really not much of a purpose in it today. Faster, we'll be on the ground faster. Slower, it doesn't handle well. So let's just stick around at that trim speed for this flight, for when you're flying. Here's where you come in. If you want to, right? Want to do some turns. So, it's all in the hips. That's where the strap is that we're dangling from. So if you move your hips this way, to the right, the hang glider will feel that and say, oh, you want to go over here. So you do. Now, it's your hips, not your shoulders. So move the hips and the feet and the shoulders, maybe a little. But this is what it's like. You know, like your body's my thing, and it's like over like that. Okay. Off she goes, and it's going around a turn. Relax. Do nothing.
And up
It
straight
sits in
now?
the turn and goes
Oh,
around
no,
in
it's
circles
stable
all
in the
by
turn.
itself. It's,
Okay.
once again, it's just like that. If you
Okay.
set it at 20 degrees and get off the input and just hang there, go
Okay.
around at 20 degrees. Although the sky's it's not sit still anymore. So 20 degrees, wind might come, make it
Right,
30
right,
degrees,
right, right,
or
right,
it might
right.
push it out. You know,
Right.
the more turbulence, the more work we have. That's all.
Okay.
When it's really easy going, set a turn and just hang out. Just hanging there, flying. It's doing all the work. So say you got to go into a right turn and you're doing nothing. Let's come out of that right turn. So the body's in the middle at this point because centrifugal force and we're going around a circle. Put your hips the other way. Opposite of right, well then hips would go to the left. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, finally go. Because we have no control surfaces like a sailplane or an airplane, it takes some time. 1, 2, 3. Oh, now you're responding.
So there's a lag
Yep.
between the control input, the weight shift, and the time that it reacts.
This being about the second slowest thing that flies means that we don't need all that responsiveness. In time, through lessons, I'll teach my students how to get the snappiest response out of it, so they'll have all the tools to keep on going forever and ever and get better and better and better at this. And between what I've told them and between what the hang glider tells them for the rest of their career, they'll get better and better. So, but that's hang gliding in a nutshell. So,
Very good.
now we've talked enough to answer these questions properly. First question is, how are you going to do it? Over and under harnesses, towing behind that airplane. Maybe you remember that. 2 is about weight shift, how you fly it. 3 is about a mountain.
No mountains.
Don't do that. 4 is about who's allowed to go. I'm allowed to take anybody up on the hang glider who can, well, understand me and do what I ask. Taking a 5-year-old up, I said, hey, don't climb out of the harness, little guy. Keep your hands off the hang glider until it's your turn.
Okay.
He's 5 years old. He got a turn, and he flew it, and he did fine. And he said, hey, do this, do that. And he got to go around turns. He's giggling. He's had a blast because he has no fear. That's what gets in the way of people enjoying this, is that they become afraid of things over time. It's like me. Anywho, number 5 on this list is all about FAA. Just to remind you that FAA says you must have a student rating to go up on this ultralight with me, your instructor, and also an exemption so we're allowed to tow behind the airplane. So that comes with your student rating. They also wanted me to mention that they don't test hang gliders at FAA. They're tested by Hang Glider Manufacturers Association, but not FAA. Bigger fish to fry over there, I'm sure. And then the last thing on this list is our parachute. Sailplanes, I'm wondering, do they have a parachute on those now?
I have a parachute in my truck. Do I need it?
No.
Okay.
We have one.
Is it on the
Required to have
glider?
one on, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Ever since I've been flying, it's been required for all tandem gliders to
Is
have
it a ballistic chute, or you throw it out?
We could have a ballistic chute, and I have had them on hang gliders before. There is a problem with them. First of all, they need to be inspected and redone and all kinds of stuff more often, more money.
Yeah, definitely.
And they have little redundancy. You pull the handle, if they don't work,
That's
you
it.
have no parachute.
Right.
We use a hand-deployed one.
Okay.
It allows some redundancy. They work great, too.
Okay.
Most places have gotten away from those ballistics because
expense, and you're just
Right.
really not
I've got this
necessary.
rocket that might blow up at any time.
Now, on an airplane like our tug, it has ballistic on it.
Okay.
It's got the BRS big thing like this, and that thing would go flying out and hopefully save our tug plane. Anyhow, for the hang glider, it is one hit parachute. It is packed away on the lower harness where I'm at. It's on the lower harness in the chest area. It's Velcroed in there, and it's just a bag with a parachute in it that has a red handle, and that handle's sticking out. So, say something crazy happened, like,
You get hit in the face with a buzzard?
well, no, I doubt it. Those guys are pretty good. I fly with them a lot.
I do too.
Because we're quiet. They don't
Yeah.
mind. But I'm thinking skydivers aren't the sharpest cradles in the box. Maybe one of those guys comes bailing out of the sky, goes through our wing. Now we're in trouble.
Or a sailplane?
I had to make up something because
Yeah.
I got to explain how the chute works.
Okay.
It's simple. Like I said, it's all packed away in its own bag. I grab the red handle, tear the bag free, throw it out into the airstream. It opens up into a big, beautiful canopy that's attached to the hang glider. Brings me, you, and the hang glider all down together.
Okay.
But there's much better ways of doing this. So,
Do you accelerate for the landing?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I'm not sure about sailplanes. You go pretty fast.
I
no matter
do.
what.
No, I go about
But with
15 knots
us,
fast. I go about 20%
We're
faster.
gonna go. Well, our this thing is slow anyhow. Hands
Yeah.
off speed, like I said, about
23,
22.
20.
You know, top end on it. So the placard says is, I believe, 45.
Okay.
If we did 45 with it, my hair would catch on fire. We don't
Okay.
do that. When I come back to land here, we'll probably pull it back and maybe get 30, 32, something
Okay.
in that range. Just good speed, so I'm not kissing a stall, that I'm not worrying about that I fly along and accidentally stall it. And here's the biggie. The control becomes so much more precise,
Okay.
more responsive, and less wandering. We don't
Yeah.
want this thing doing whatever it wants. We want laser beaming on in. That's what you do. You get down to the deck, you level off, we float for a while, bleed off all the speed. When we actually set the wheels down, we'll likely be doing something, well, ground speed, because we have a little wind, probably something in that 10 to 15 mile an hour maximum.
Okay.
Maybe even slower than that, because I see it's picked up a touch. But that's basically hang gliding.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Spinner.
Quite well.
And
All right.
I'm going to finish signing up all these forms, and we'll get out there.
So Campbell got with his friend Bobby, who's an aircraft designer, and this is the result of their collaboration. It's all wing. All wing. It's very maneuverable, and big ass tail on it for maneuverable too. But it's
So it flies slow.
maneuverable.
It has bigger, lighter wing loading, goes slow, bigger tail, better controllability at low speeds, big flaperons.
And that's why this is an experimental and not an LSA, because it doesn't have the stability of an LSA. If it did, it wouldn't do its job as a tow plane as well.
And so what do you call this thing?
This one's called the Bailey Dragonfly.
Bailey Dragonfly. Is this
They're
one of a
still
kind?
available today.
Okay.
But they're manufactured in Australia, and they're called the Moyes Bailey Dragonfly.
Okay.
Built by the Moyes hang glider company.
So you can get parts for them, I
Oh
guess.
my!
All right.
Still available. You can get this entire airplane.
And the motors are Rotax 912 something?
This one is 912 or 14. I can't tell you which.
Okay.
Because I'm not an airplane guy. I know this
Okay.
one or the other. And there's something in the range of 100 to 110 horse.
Okay.
The airplanes that I learned behind, same airplane, but had 582. That's 60 horse.
Okay.
So, and they'll do a fine job. But as we get into more robust parts of the day, we don't want to be on this tow for a long, long time.
Right.
We'd like to get that over with. So this thing will get us up quick, get us away from that tow. Just
Okay.
a whole lot.
All right. So who's our tow pilot today, Spinner?
I am Timothy.
Timothy. Hi, I'm Stuart, visiting from...
Here, what do you have to say before we do that?
All right, this sounds like it's going to be fun. So I'm here with Spinner, flying at Quest Soaring. And we're in Groveland, Florida. And it's a beautiful August day. We had some thermals a little earlier, so it's a good sign.
All right, well, all systems are checked, ready to go flying. So here we
Go, go, go!
Here we go.
All right, you guys know what?
All right, man.
Rolling, rolling, flying. Go flying.
window out on the horizon. So this is the video game part. I look at the airplane and I do what I got to do to keep them on the horizon.
Tail wheel between the main gear, horizontal stabilizer on the base.
Here's the truth. The truth is that I'm going to try and park the landing gear right on the horizon,
Okay.
whatever part of it. But I'm not going to be perfect, especially now that we're more in the middle of the day. It's going to be a bit more turbulent, so I won't be perfect. But I want to be as close as I can so that I'm never way out of control or way out of position. Let's put it that way. I'm never out of control, but out of position too much. And I am very good, and I could keep it on that horizon perfectly, but it's so much work. I don't want to work that hard, so I'm relaxing, doing it the easiest I can. Our tug pilot's a little slow. Well, you see it coming. There's rain right over there. That's about 10 miles away. Another half an hour, 45 minutes.
And that's like wind too, so it is coming this way.
Let's see, wind. Yeah, pretty much.
South.
You might get lucky. It might rain itself out before it gets here. Maybe my buddy down there on the ground to get a flight.
But you got lots of options to land, but you always get back to the airport.
Always. With this one, yes. The solo pilots, I don't care. Land over there, I don't care. There's lots of good places to land here. 277 square miles of Florida wilderness out there ahead of us, by the way. Got a buzzard right here.
All right, my buddies. I call them my brothers. My YouTube channel is Sophie Lope, which is Central American for vulture buzzard. They've saved me. They've allowed me to have many good flights, so I honor them.
Yeah. When I'm flying hang gliders, you know the classic rules are it's like look for decent clouds and then look for circling birds or other circling gliders. But sometimes I think it's the birds are number one, especially the black vultures.
As long as they're circling and not flying straight looking for a lift. You know, I sometimes think, oh, they know where they're going, but if they're not circling, they're not sure either.
We do a pattern to stay close to the field in case there's a problem with the airplane or we pop off a toe prematurely, that we'd always make it home. And we'll look for lift while we're doing that too. Safety, yeah, safety number one. We got clouds right over here. I think we're close to something good.
Well, it's not about the
There's lift around. There's 2-4 coming up. There's 2-5er. There's our signal to release, but I'm going to hang on for another sec. See about 2.8 or 2.9 before we go. I got nothing else going on, so So I'll get a couple extra 100 feet here. So that, well, we're going to be doing this maneuver with the airplane. Give us a little time for it.
Nice and cool up here.
Yeah, the AC never goes out on this one. All right,
Very
too nice.
pleasant. Very nice. Even on a hot summer day.
Okay, so we're going to pop off the toe here. Yeah, I'm just going to stay in a straight line. Here's the prop wash from the airplane.
Collecting the tow rope.
He'll come back soon. I'm just stowing it. Usually I leave it hanging out there, but I didn't have anything else to do right then. All right, I'm going to go back toward him a bit.
Very nice. So we're a little slower than we were on tow, I take it.
A lot slower. That tow's 35, 40 mile an hour through the air.
And we're 23, you
Yeah,
say
23-ish. In fact, I'm even pushing to slow us down a little bit more. That'll give us more time in the air. It's that'd be called our minimum sink speed.
Okay.
We're going down as slow as possible, but we're not covering much ground. It keeps us in the air longer than anything else we can do. There you go.
There's the tow plane, alright.
All propping us up. There goes the tow line.
Very good.
That's enough of
That
that.
should be fun.
Okay, enough of that. Here we go. So,
Hands off.
flies itself, does a good job. It's very stable. So, what do you think? You got time for it? 2 fingers and a thumb. Do it.
Let
Just
me
do
see
it.
if I-
You won't hurt it.
Just gotta
If you got-
move my recorder.
Yep. If you have 2 free hands, you can do this.
Okay.
Nice light touch to it. Now we're going to do a left turn, so you're going to pull like this. That's enough. It doesn't take that much. Now it's in that turn. Yeah, you shift your weight a little bit, but it's still going around a little bit. How about a right turn now?
Right
so,
turn?
Yep. Pull here. Shoot your. That's all shoulders. That's the opposite of what you want to do.
Okay.
Feet first.
Feet
Pull your
first.
feet over there. Look at that.
Got it.
That's it. Very good. Very nice. I see a buzzard down here. I see a cloud right there.
Okay, I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
Got it.
Only if you want to.
Alright.
But, asking me to fly a hang glider even after 22 years, it's not exactly, aw.
I don't have to fix your arm.
Not at all. Nah, I love this stuff.
Come fly us again. Here we go. And then we got the field right underneath us.
I'm willing to live with less money to have a job that I absolutely adore. Love
You
doing.
know, I feel very lucky to be able to give glider rides. And I hope you meet some nice people. I hope they're not all
Oh, man.
assholes.
Hardly, almost none.
That's good. I think people that are willing to do something like this are generally free spirits and enjoying life and happy.
This is one of those things that I've tried to talk a couple thousand people into doing, and they all said no. The ones who come to me and I say, I don't think you have to. I think it's dangerous. You can't talk them out of it.
This is very pleasant. You know,
Alligator.
I had forgotten how nice this is to be over there. Especially without, like a power paraglider, you got all that noise. This, the fact that you can talk, it's a little bit like parachuting, but you got the option to go up instead of down.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
Well, of sailplanes.
It's amazing.
It's one of those things that I could never get over, is that I have no engine. I have to look for it. I have to work for it. But it's the most satisfying work ever, man. Find lift and go back up to 5, 6, 8,000 feet, whatever, dude. That's what keeps us all coming back forever and ever. I got wore out on water skiing and other sports, but this 22 years and still going very strong.
So April, May, what are the best times of year for you?
May. May be the very best month, but March, April, and May, they're all very good.
Higher cloud bases, good strong thermal.
All the things that work for sailplanes work for us. They have all the sailplane comps here in the spring, so do we. Speaking of comps, it's time to talk about roller coaster turns if you cared for them.
Okay.
So you do. There's stall.
That's 2 G's, I would say. Very cool. Very cool. That's a thumbs up.
I don't think that was 2 G's.
A lot of fun.
That's more like it. I'll calm it down. I'm not done just yet. See if we got any lift over here. Got all crossy on us. Guess in one way I'm in the right place, and another way I'm not. Guess I'll go over here. I'd hate to have to walk very far.
Oh, wow, that was super soft. Very nice.
Wow, the video says we're going up or down?
Up. When it makes noise, it says up.
All right.
Well, that went
that
pretty
was
smooth.
wonderful.
I was hoping that we'd find a lot more lift than that, but really wasn't much of anything. A little, yeah. Decord. Let me decord here on. There we go. Get that. Okay. Yeah, be able to help you.
I'm not going to break anything. It'll just stay still.
Oh, you won't break anything.
I don't want to break your harness. That's what I want to do.
You don't want to break you. Harness, I think, is fine. It's your